the floor for the next session on learning from projects and experience, which will be moderated by my colleague Ursula. So Ursula, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning again to everybody. We have heard from the EU level initiatives, but now I think it's time really that you're all waiting for to see examples how it's working on the ground. And we have a wealth of examples, but we only could choose a few. And I have to say apologies for this slight delay. We didn't want to cut the speakers who were saying such interesting stuff. But as a result, we really have to reshuffle the organization of our presentations because one of our speakers has to leave quite soon. So I would actually ask Julien and then Mirto to present their two quick examples about poverty, energy poverty, right away, and then we will go back to Gerard and then Julia in the next step. Okay, Julia, so it's your turn then.
Okay, thank you, Ursula. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share. So you can see my my screen. It's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to do a presentation about what I'm doing in France. I'm working in a center in France in very rural spaces. I'm working for both supra-municipalities. Which one is Grand Chambord, is very rural and there is a lot of forest and very isolated village. And the other one is Beauval-de-Loire with very there is a lot of farmers there, and also very isolated village. So I'm working. The name of the project is Maison de l'Habitat. You can translate it by housing house, kind of. And the goal of our project is to reunite every structure, every NGO, every administrative structure, the region, the department, reunite in one project to give all assistances for our residents. So we have a lot of action. We help people to get out of energy poverty situation. So we are working with a social association, with a region, with a lot of NGO, and the goal of our project is to allow us to communicate between each structure and not to let the family contact every structure. And yes, we create links between every structure who could participate and who could help people get out of energy poverty situation. We give assistance also for home support to let all people stay at home as long as they wanted. We give assistance also for unsanitary housing. We give also architectural advices for people. We do action against vacant property also. We work with estate agency and notary offices for that. We help people also for administrative, let's say, for allow us to do renovation for urban, for planning permission. And we give also juridic and financial advices. So our goal is to reunite every structure who could give assistance for people for these topics and also for energy poverty situation. So yeah, we are very public services. We are working in a city hall, and we provide assistance for the residents with a lot of experts, legal, urbanistic, technical, financial, and we facilitate and we help people who want to get out of energy poverty situation. And we are working with a lot of NGO and yes. We also providing financial subsidies to the residents to help them overcome the energy poverty situation. And we connect with all administrative structure to keep all financial subsidies to give to the family who are in energy poverty situation, to let them to contact every administrative structure. And yeah, because here in France we have kind of problem with people who are in energy poverty situation. They need to call a lot of structures. There is a lot of administrative and financial, legal, and technical and juridic consequences. And to have all information, they need to call a lot of NGO, a lot of administrative structure. And the goal of La Maison de l'Habitat is to reunite every structure and to not let people get resigned, but call every structure, etc.
I'm sorry, Julien, it's time to move forward.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so that I'll explain. And this is some statistics of what we do. And yes, you can see some statistics. So yeah, that's our project. And we postulate also for EPA program to do a better diagnostics of the situation of energy poverty, to get more I don't know how to say in English, but to know the situation and to have a better communication and to keep all families that need our services. Thank you.
Great. Many thanks. I'm sorry to be really very rigorous about timing, but we had, because you are sharing your presentation with Mirto, I just, between the two of you, you had a limit of time. Sorry, and we go straight to Mirto then, just to keep on the topic of energy poverty. And many thanks, Julien. If people have questions to Julien specifically, they can put them in the chat. Maybe he can still manage to answer them after Mirto's presentation before he has to go. But otherwise, Mirto, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to share, but it says it's disabled, but I can start talking anyway.
I can maybe just show, this is the same slide as it was in Liviu's presentation, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Marina. So yeah, just to start talking already. So yeah, amazing things from Julien, but I will talk about a much smaller case study that we worked on under the technical assistance for a village called Daia Marina Chrysopous, a very rural area in Cyprus. As you can see, it's at the very west end. It's far away from the nearest city, and it has around 350 households, so it's quite small. What we have done, because the concept of energy poverty was very new to the community, is that we focused on the investigation stage and and finding out what the problem is regarding energy poverty. So what we did is that we went there and trained the staff of the municipality, staff of 2 is not much, on how to do a simplified energy audit to the households of the community. They did around 50 of it, which is quite significant for the scale of the community. And then together we analyzed the data to see what are the needs for energy renovations, and we were able to suggest and link to the national grants available on that. So we also did a presentation to the whole village and specialized training to the staff on the available funds and how to access them. We also were able to discuss further options for a potential energy community, which is still not available because in Cyprus we don't have yet the legal framework for energy communities. But hopefully next year we will be able to do that. And to close, because I don't want to take more time, we were in the second round of applications. Another village, nearby village, was also able to get some funding where we will almost replicate the same case there to increase the impact. So yeah, that's all from me. I don't want to take more space. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mirta. And just to say, Mirta will be in the breakout room with Patricia, breakout room number 3, and you will have opportunity to ask more about her project, which is why we are trying to move on with time. So now we have Gerard Keena from Ireland, who will present his energy community. We already touched on the topic of energy communities, and I think Gerard, your presentation is very welcome. And again, try to be disciplined in time.
Okay, yeah, let me get the presentation up. Can you see that?
Yes, very good.
Okay. Well, hello. My name is Gerard Keena. I live in Mullingar, County Westmeath, Ireland. It's in the middle of the country. And the population of Mullingar is about 20,000 people. I joined the Mullingar Sustainable Energy Community. The Sustainable Energy Community is defined by our government as a community that works together to become more sustainable in how they use energy for the benefit of the community. So the idea is that they will carry out projects across homes, transport, businesses, schools, and community centres. There's over 700 of these communities in Ireland. So why did I join? Well, Ireland has targets, just like the whole of the EU, for greenhouse gases emissions. Also, Ireland has a target of at least 80% of its electricity from renewable sources. So I just wanted to do something to help our community to achieve these targets. Mullingar Sustainable Energy Community was started in 2018, and it came out of our local Chamber of Commerce. At the moment, we've got about 30 members, IT people, farmers, accountants, lawyers, business people, and so on. We're all volunteers. The first project that came up actually was to try and build a solar farm, because on the outskirts of our town, we have a closed landfill site, 10 hectares, which is owned by the Westmeath County Council, our local authority. This we thought would be an easy project. So the dream was to build a 5 megawatt solar farm. It would be 100% community owned by setting up a cooperative. How will we do this? Well, we'll rent the land from the county council. We get the grid connection from our national grid company. We get the planning permission. We set up a cooperative to raise all the money, about 8 to 9 million, by the way. We joined the Renewable Electricity Support Scheme. This is a government initiative to support projects in Ireland to generate electricity. And basically it would mean that someone like us, a community group or a business, could apply to the government and get fixed price for their electricity for about 15 years. So how is it going? Well, renting the land has been done. The Westmeath County Council are fully in support of this project, so there's great cooperation with them on this project. Grid connection, it's done, but it's going to cost us about 3 million at the moment, and it's nearly taken us 2.5 years to get this sorted. Planning permission. We hope now in Q1 2024 to apply with Westmeath County Council for the planning permission. We've actually used a LEADER grant there of €30,000 to get our design drawings and glint and glare reports done for this planning permission. Setting up the cooperative to raise the funds, we don't know how we're going to do this yet. And the Renewable Electricity Support Scheme has all changed this year. So now we're not exactly sure how we apply to the scheme, but the government said it will come out by the end of the year with this process. So in parallel with the solar farm, we also managed to do an energy master plan. And basically an energy master plan is what you call there the SECAP, It's a snapshot of your energy usage at a particular point in time. And from that, you're able to then generate a register of opportunities, potential projects that we can carry out to improve our energy scenario. We availed of a government grant there of 20,000 to get consultants to carry out this energy master plan. We also have used the Rural Energy Community Advisory Hub to help us with developing our master plan into more an implementation plan and to get us focused on what to do. So from our energy master plan now, we have all the facts and figures that we need at a particular point in time, the amount of energy we're using in our community, the CO2 emissions, and the actual amount of money we're spending on energy per year. These facts and figures can then allow us to plan and see our progress. Where do we go from here? Well, the solar farm, we have to get the planning permission. The next thing is to raise the millions. On our energy master plan and to advance with our recast support that we have, we need to implement our projects, set up a one-stop shop, get solar panels on community buildings and so on, carry on these projects. So what help do we need? Well, we need 8 to 9 million euro. How do we raise that? And how do we pay for a project team to deliver our registry of opportunities? That's it, folks. So as we say in Gaelic, go raibh maith agat. Thank you very much. And I leave my contact details on the bottom there. So if you have 8 million euro, you can give me a shout. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gerard. Good. You have shown us how this looks in reality on the ground, like very much. We also had a glimpse from France and Cyprus, which was slightly on a different scale. But then we're going to go to the breakout rooms to see how we can help solve this and similar situations. And now I'll ask Giulia Mazzi to contribute her presentation, and then we will go into discussion.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, it's not yet in full. Yeah, now.
Okay, sorry, one moment. Okay, so first of all, hi everyone, thank you. I am Giulia, and I'm working as a junior researcher at Remond, which, as you can see, is an engineering and construction company working for the built environment, and we have a strong emphasis of technology and innovations. In fact, in my department, we focus on European projects and policies for themes such as energy efficiency, net zero carbon, innovative refurbishment, and so on. In the great work we're doing toward the energy efficiency, we're working with two great organizations, which are Biodistrict, which really is Biodistretto della Via Marina e delle Forre, which is a no-profit foundation grouping 13 municipalities in Lazio region, as well as local firms, organizations, and communities. And they are all very active for bringing sustainability and enhancement to the agricultural sector and to the rural areas themselves. And going on, we have Raw Material University. In fact, the Remond academic staff collaborate with partners like Raw Material staff for having more comprehensive research tools and software. In fact, the team itself works for having design and implementation of digital and technical solutions, for having a network of agricultural enterprises and citizens, and for having research and digital tools. So the biodistrict as territory, as you can see, has a great potential. In fact, we have area prevention and promotion. They organize things like trekking excursions, and then they focus a lot on organic and diversified agriculture. In fact, there is like this major culture of the nutshell, but they really are trying to focus on the fact that it has not to be, it isn't that to be a monoculture, but a diversified culture, because otherwise it is dangerous for the environment, but also for the community. Going on, they try to focusing on the energy transition, and this is the work they're doing also major with us. And they really are focusing on being a central law also in local policies and for the network with the local administration. So they have also like the group who's working with them. So this is the path toward the SECAP plan, which we can see as a common goal for us. And we want it to be a joint action. We want it to be to comprehend the 13 municipalities, and we want it to go beyond the individual municipality for having a shared decision-making process. We want it to have a high biological component. In fact, the decentralization, as I was saying before, is a key word for sustainability and organic agriculture, and we want it to be dynamic. In fact, the phase of planning and design has to become part of monitoring and evaluation part. So the biodistrict is not a clue, but also a glue between the local public authorities, the planners, and the local realities for bringing both positive resources and impacts through the sustainable farmer communities, but also through the renewable energy contribution. And this part is also taken as part of the European project we're working for. In fact, as you can see, we're working with projects like Redream, Heur, and Ginger. For example, Redream, these all of three are taken in municipality of the biodistrict. For example, in Redream, we are trying to gamify the social network for energy communities. Or with Ginger, we try to emphasize the citizen-centered regeneration through the energy community as a bullet point for the SECAP plan. And in the end, we have the EUR project, which stands for Hazards and Urban Revolution. It is based in Nepi municipality, and it is based on the new European Bauhaus pillars, which are beautiful, sustainable, and together, and also on the co-design process for the inclusion. So going on, you can see that high arts ends are really the pillars for this project, because we have to focus on preserving natural environment and archaeological heritage while working with the community. We have to integrate some technological solution, not also in the local environment, but also in the local community, which has a robust context. And we have to really generate some positive impact in terms of socioeconomic impacts. So our team works is trying to implement a building integrated photovoltaic system in a selective building, which also the local health unit, an elderly center, and a social cooperative. And this is really important, not only for the environment preservation, but for the community preservation and engagement. In fact, the elderly center is really active in all the population of Nepi municipality. So our focus is not only to implement this solution, but also to raise awareness about energy consumption and energy saving. So we're trying to boost an energy community. In order to do so, we have to remain in a constant dialogue and a constant network with the local public administration, which is a work we're doing, in fact, with the biodistrict, but also with the community itself. So we are organizing several engagement activities, trying to make them feel safe and happy about the changes we are trying to provide them. So thank you all for the attention.
Okay, many thanks, Julia. Very good. So now you've seen the glimpse of very different contexts, different European contexts, and also different needs of the local communities. I think we have an overview of what kind of support is needed and why and in what way. This is also something we will discuss in the breakout rooms. We are now proceeding to a panel discussion, but the panel is only like part of the discussion. I hope that you, the audience, will join the discussion also with your questions and proposals and suggestions, and then we will continue that also in the breakout rooms. Before we before I invite all the panelists to show their faces, I would like just very briefly to introduce Thomas Schwab from Bertelsmann's Foundation in Germany, who has just recently completed a very interesting research on the potential of different European regions for renewable energies. And we thought it would be a very nice kickoff for the discussion. So Thomas, just if you could briefly go through your introduction.
Sure, thank you, Ursula. I'm sharing my screen, and I promise to be really on time. So thank you for having me here. And I'm going to present you the main result of a forthcoming study we are currently we carried out in the context of the renewable energy transition and the implications for distribution across European regions. So it's cohesion policy, but in the end, it's a question of who is likely to gain and who is likely to be challenged in terms of regions. So the title is Energizing EU Cohesion, and subtitle, main finding, powering up lagging regions in the renewable energy transition. The motivation, and I think you are well aware, the EU Green Deal means that we need to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. No big news. But what's interesting is that energy and the energy sector, directly and indirectly, across all the economy, is responsible for about 75% of the CO2 emissions. So that means if we are not able to do this renewable energy transition, we won't be able to meet the target of the European Green Deal. And interesting, especially if it comes to different types of regions, is how different types of regions are affected by this renewable energy transition. So you have different prerequisites, you have different economies, and this means you will have different outcomes in the end. So regions differ by the energy sector. I mean, that's maybe a no-brainer. If you have a lot of fossil-based energy in your region, you will be more heavily affected. You will have to do more in order to make this transition work. But it's also a question of the energy dependency of other sectors of the economy. And of course, it's also a question of the potential of renewables. So how much renewable energy will you be able to produce in the end? And this is basically what we answer in this study, forthcoming at the end of November. So it's really the first time I'm presenting the results here in a broader audience. And we are interested in what are the overall economic effects, and more important, what's in for different European regions. So we have different regional starting positions all over Europe. And you probably know this figure here on the left. It's distribution of GDP per capita. It's no big surprise. So you have the richest region in the middle of Europe. And in the context of rural regions, this richer regions are mostly urban regions. Not all, but general tendency. And interesting is if you look at the CO2 intensity. So this is a very good proxy of how much you have to do in order to decarbonize, to really make this renewable energy transition in the end, because it's 75% of the emissions. And this figure in the middle here is quite the opposite. So if you are on a higher level of economic prosperity, you are also on a less challenging path for CO2 intensity, right? And things change again if you look at the renewable potential. So how much potential is there in each and every region? And we see here that especially this more rural regions in the east, in the south of Europe, they exhibit the highest potential. So they have the highest potential for renewable energy production, but at the same time, they have the highest CO2 intensity at the moment. So a priori, it's not really clear what will be the overall effects in the end. So who will gain and who is more likely to get into troubles. And this is the core of our study, that we are really setting up an economic model considering various different aspects. So, for example, the investments in the renewable energy area, the phasing out of the fossil energy, the expansion of the renewable energy, the associated system costs. So we heard that you will have to do something with the grid for the Irish example. We take all this into account and calculate the effect on value added and then employment by 2050 if you make this renewable energy transition work for each and every region. And this is what we find. And this is really good news, especially for rural regions. So the maps for value added and employment looks quite similar. And what you see here, the more blue, the better. The more blue means that you will gain. And a striking picture is here, especially these rural regions in Eastern Europe, Poland, or around in French surroundings of Paris, or in Spain, in southern Italy. They are more likely to gain in value added and employment compared to the urban counterparts. Main reasons for this: higher renewable energy potential, easier transition costs, and associated new economic opportunities. For example, if you look at Madrid and the surroundings, you have an urban center with limited renewable energy production space, basically. How much windmills can you set up in Madrid? And you have new opportunities to really deliver, to really export energy. And this is, of course, associated with new economic value added. So I leave it here to be short and precise, and looking forward to this discussion.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Thomas. Yes, I think it was very good news overall. We are all, let's say, keeping fingers crossed for those rural areas that have potential to grow and create jobs in renewable energies, although it doesn't seem to be all uniformly across Europe. So we have to still some work to do. I would also like maybe also for the panelists, to one of the panelists that I would invite all the presenters, of course, from previous sessions. So Veronica, Liviu, Andrea, Pujan, also the examples, Julia, Mirto, and Gerard, as well as Thomas, to be like open to make comment or to respond to questions. But I would also like maybe very brief comment from Chris from RESCOP. There is this European Organization of Energy Cooperatives. Is Chris there?
Yes.
Yes, there you are.
Hello, everyone.
Okay. So what do you think about what you've heard so far, very quickly? How is it responding to your work?
Yeah, just super quickly to give the context of where I'm coming from. I work for SECAPs, the European Federation of Citizen Energy Cooperatives, representing more than 2,000 cooperatives from across Europe, in turn representing more than 2.2 million EU citizens. I think there were some clear themes that we saw across the presentations. I think what stood out for me from the Irish example is the need to, you're a small group, let's say a rural community, you try to build a solar park either for self-consumption or for selling, but really the purpose to keep the revenue within your local economy, which is the essence of energy communities. But then how do you actually unblock, those funds? What kind of public financing instruments could come in and de-risk that investment, really help out? The good news is that, as Gerard probably knows, there's the Sustainable Energy Authority, I hope I'm saying it right, of Ireland, that has these the grants, but also there's all sorts of EU grants and funds that could be used. This is a kind of research we've been doing with ResCOOP, mapping how member states are using the Recovery and Resilience Facility funds, ERDF and cohesion, so regional development funds, just transition funds, and the modernization fund. So we're seeing that member states are using really all sorts of public EU funds, excuse me, to support energy communities. So that's one thing that stood out for me. From the Cyprus example, I think it's quite clear that, you know, when you have that rural municipality of only 2 employees, I think it speaks to that disparity of the regions, as you said, Ursula, just now, that, you know, we cannot think of the Berlin municipality as being the same as this, I don't know, small municipality on the outskirts of Limassol in Cyprus, because really the skills sorry about that. The skills and the capacities are really different. So I think it's good what we heard from Puyan. Like, there's all sorts of these initiatives that are about upskilling. The Covenant of Mayors, they're all about capacity transfer. And I think that speaks to the fact that the ideas are there, like energy communities, the rural vision, the Rural Pact, you know, it's all there. The funding sometimes can be there. But I think for me, sometimes the ultimate question is, do you have the actual capacity, the people on the ground to implement these projects? And maybe just to conclude with one example from my home country, which is Greece, which I think bonds all of these themes that we discussed today. So there's this energy community of Karditsa. It's found in central Greece. It's a rural area. It utilizes residual biomass from agriculture, so agricultural cooperatives, but also forestry cooperatives, and it's producing bio pellets to produce a form of sustainable heating for the local town of Karditsa. Now, what's interesting there is that you do have a reactivation, let's say, of the social economy of the city. So, you know, you do create these opportunities, you do create these jobs, you do create opportunities for young people at the end of the day to stay in a rural area and, you know, reverse the trend of depopulation and urbanization. It's interesting because they have made use of the LEADER program to create their facilities to that process the agricultural biomass. And it's also interesting because as an energy community, and I guess that's the final point that I want to make, it's a living organism. They didn't just do one project and they said, you know, now we're producing these biopellets, that's it. They keep absorbing EU funds, they keep innovating, they keep applying. Now they're doing this program together with Greenpeace Greece of basically front-loading the upfront cost for solar panel installations on the rooftops of private consumers across the city. So they're doing all sorts of things and finding all sorts of ways to keep innovating and act as a community. And I think that's my overlaying message here. You know, my positionality is coming from an energy community space. So I do think it's a good solution as a dynamic organism that can keep innovating and absorbing funds and building that capacity at the local level to really push forth a just rural agenda.
Great. Thanks. That's good, optimistic, energizing message for all of us to continue struggling. Excellent. Okay, so now the floor is open for we have a virtual panel of all the speakers who have spoken so far, and they are willing to either exchange with each other if you would like ask questions to each other. Don't know, Julia to Gerard, for example, or vice versa, between the examples or between the different commission initiatives. Or also to allow our audience, who has been very silent till now, and there has been some exchange. I think there were some questions about data, collecting data on energy poverty, and I think that has been more or less addressed in the chat, unless somebody who raised this topic would still like to take the floor and bring up further these concerns. Don't know.
Maybe on this point, I can just say a couple of words, maybe following the what Chris shared some seconds ago, and thank you very much. It's super interesting. Also, from the Covenant of Mayors point of view, I can say, okay, also I'm thinking about the Italian case now, where in Italy there are like more than 70% of municipalities that are considered small municipalities, and in Italy, but I think it's pretty similar all over Europe. When you talk about small municipalities, most of the times you are talking about rural municipalities. And what we are really experiencing in the Covenant of Mayors is like, okay, you know better than me that small municipalities lack of expertise, lack of political priorities, let's say, also for doing climate and energy projects. So in our case, the key for success is like bundling, so grouping municipalities. So that's why also with the Covenant of Mayors, we have this option called the joint SECAP. And now I'm following also to the data related questions. Why? Because for small municipalities, most of the times it's really, they are struggling a lot with, let's say, all steps required by the, let's say, analysis point of view, now from the climate and energy section of your SECAP. And in this case, the role of the territorial coordinator, so it could be like the regional government or the county level government, it could be county, province, or metropolitan region, for example. It's really crucial because they are like the glue that can really guarantee that there is also an interoperability of the data, so they really can share pretty detailed data to be used by the local level, but at the same time they can do the same also with the distribution on funding, for example, now, because you know that getting European money really for the implementation, I'm not talking about the planning phase now, but for the implementation of such really expensive renovation projects like this, it's impossible, no? Especially for small municipalities. But you can get this European funding through the European regional funding programs, no? So that's why this could be really important, not only for sharing data, but really for funding the measures that municipalities identified in their SECAPs. No? So really turning the hands-on dreaming book into reality. And the multi-level governance, the cooperation and synergies between closed municipalities, but also between the local and regional government, it's really crucial in these steps.
Great, great. So, and also an interesting link between data and inter-municipal cooperation, which is why I think is one of the key aspects of the support that is being provided by, as I understand, by the Covenant of Mayors, for example. The topic of support, is this support enough? Of course, it's never enough, but we will be discussing, so I would still like to provoke people to still comment, because we will go to them to working groups and make recommendations about what support is still further needed or what support is particularly effective. But can you say that the support that is currently being provided, that was showcased through the different European initiatives, is it adequate? Is it responding to the needs? From the perspective, yes, Gerard? Yeah.
Yeah. About what we have found, and for example, we have the government body here, the energy agent, and they do provide grants. Now the grants go up to a maximum of 180,000, and what we're finding is they'll bring all these community groups to a certain level, but where do they get the €8 million? And what we need is that, I mean, to me, and as Christopher was saying there, there's money available out there. What we need is someone to basically act between us and the people with the money. So we put in our project, for example, and they act as, okay, these groups are interested in financing your project, and then we can all get together. But yes, we have to go looking. So we have to go into the EU. We have to look at this one, the leader, this, that. Even leader will only lead us up to so far. So we need some central place that brings us all together. If you want to call a kind of an eBay position, an eBay point where people can, we can put our projects in, and those that want to finance projects then can also meet and then agree and so on. Just an idea.
Okay. An interesting idea of, let's say, a go-between, an intermediary that supports the financing. Thomas, you want to comment on that?
Yes, and I'd also like to hear your view on. I mean, I presented basically one part of our research is that you have the potential for renewable energy in rural regions, and you have the requirement, the need for renewable energy also in urban regions. And I was wondering, could we do better in terms of connecting production and the need in such a way that in terms of financing, that you may could set up some sort of long-term contract, because this would give you security and safety in terms of investment development. I mean, you still need the money, of course, but this may be this could be a game changer in terms of risk management for the investment and finding investors within the European framework, but maybe also outside as well.
Hey, that's great. I heard I haven't actually seen Maria Jose raising her hand, but
here.
Maybe yes, I see you, but I just wasn't sure. But you didn't raise
Yes.
your virtual hand, which is why I did
hand, but I think you didn't see me.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, well, I would like to make a point to Thomas. I think your research is really interesting, and I agree with you that there is a potential of the development of the rural areas through the development of renewable energy. But if it's not well targeted, this development may have not an impact. So, well, I'm a researcher in social innovation in energy, and I believe that policies should focus on the benefits for the territories, because now they are not really a priority. I'm talking more about the corporations as developers, right? So I think there is a way through the policies, through the financing requirements of the subsidized from Europe, for example, or at the national level too, to foster social innovation to develop the territory, because otherwise there will be not empowerment of this population to take advantage of also this renewable energy integration. So also tackling energy poverty should be prioritized and converted into obligation, and not only a criteria. Nice to have criteria, but obligations for renewable energy developers into this. And I think there is a lack here. Maybe we can discuss this, but I still see a lack of this relevance of this criteria in the support and in the and in the strength of the policies. So this is what I don't know if Thomas, you have a policy recommendations in your research in this sense, or
Thomas, would you like to react quickly?
Yes,
I think we have to start wrapping up, but yes, okay.
So basically, it's about coinciding the benefit, also the social benefit, to the place of occurrence, and I think the renewable energy communities are a perfect way to ensure this, because there you have the highest chances that the positive benefits resulting are really staying in the region. So one of our policy implications definitely will be that we have to set up this energy communities properly. We have to avoid that if there's a big business opportunity in there, that it's just big capital exploiting this at the cost, maybe even of rural communities. But, and I think this is also an important thing, is that we really have to think about on how to bring together different types of regions, because in the end, everyone can benefit from it. Rural regions can benefit in particular of new opportunities, also contributing to social benefit. But in the end, we need to master the green transition everywhere in Europe. So we need to cooperate and bring the urban regions in there as well, in one way or another.
Great, thanks a lot. So we are still like not quite sure how to make sure, yes, the regions benefit, then down to the territories, and then in the territories, the most vulnerable people. That's possibly a challenge still to be discussed.